And now,
ladies and gentlemen,
please fasten your seatbelts.
Welcome to PreneurCast.
Business cards being swapped, beers being drunk.
Can I say a nasty word? Can I say procrastination?
With Pete Williams and Don Gosher.
how well did that go down?
Talk about that entire thing in a very another rant and soapbox episode if we want to.
Visit us online at PreneurMarketing.com.
Hi everyone and welcome to this edition of PreneurCast. It's me, Dom Goucher, and as always with Pete Williams. Hi Pete.
Hey buddy, how are you?
I am pretty good. Just got back from a long dog walk in the mountains. Actually.
Ooh, very nice. Well, I just
That's
woke
it for
up.
my energy for the week, by the way. That's all it. That's all it is. No more.
Fair enough. So what's been going on?
What has been going on? Well, still busy backwards and forwards to the UK. More consulting stuff going on, carrying on with the big contract as well. So learned a lot of lessons. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago about getting sucked in and working in a business rather than on the business.
Mm-hmm.
Still trying to balance that strategic overview with actually getting things done, but pulling myself out of it. So maybe there's a podcast in that somewhere about how that happened and what might how you might work through that if you're in the same situation.
Sounds good.
So we'll come back to that. What about you?
Oh, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. It's lots going on. Had a bit of a break over the last sort of 4 or 5 days. It was a long weekend here in Australia, so took the family up to the Barrier Reef and chilled out a little bit. My dad lives up there, so kind of took the grandson up there so we could show him off to all his friends and people up there. So that was nice and relaxing. Left the laptop at home completely. Had my iPhone, so I still check a little bit of email, but didn't take the laptop, so it was a bit restricted, which was good. So it was a nice little break and recharged and back into it again with some more killer projects we've got coming up.
Yeah, I have to say, actually, that is another thing that I've got from this newfound kind of immersion in the work that I've been going through, is that the downtime is all the more important. Being the sporting person that you are, if you train physically, people say to you that you should take breaks between the training to allow your body to recover. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So recovery is almost more important than the actual training itself.
Yeah. Look at that. I paid attention. Look at that. See?
There you go.
I don't know any more about it. I can't say I've experienced it, but, but seriously, we talk a lot about business and being in business and moving forward and taking action and all that stuff. But when you are in the thick of it, when it's really hammering you, when you're really busy, it is just like in the physical world and physical training. It's equally important to take those breaks, to recharge those batteries, to let yourself recover. And it's something that I've been going through. You and I talked about this offline, that, the more intense work that I'm doing, the more important it is, I find, to take those breaks, to disconnect. And I'm like you, I carry the iPhone around. Yeah, I'll check in on the emails and just go, yeah, that's all okay, fine. But I'm absolutely not checking it every hour or all those other silly things that people do. And it's absolutely vital. So yeah, good on you for taking that break. And
it's been good. And I've been mixing that with the meditation that we spoke about on a previous episode. So it's been a nice little balance for me of recent times, which is good.
Groovy. And you're making me feel ever so slightly better because there wasn't a mention of a triathlon in there.
Well, that was the reason originally we were going to go to the Barrier Reef, but I actually pulled out and didn't race. My knee kind of blew up a little bit, so that was a little bit disappointing, but I blocked it out and kind of just turned it into a holiday. We watched the race, and a few friends raced in the rain, but I didn't actually race myself.
Cool. Well, a good use of the time anyway.
Exactly.
Either way. So, did you manage to get in any reading or listening on your repose?
Yeah, I've actually gone a bit old school again. I kind of go through these phases every now and again where I like to kind of revisit, as they say, a classic. And at the moment, I've been rereading a physical book called Hopkins, My Life in Advertising and Scientific Advertising. So they're 2 books in one. So I'm currently about a third of the way through, or third of the way through again for about the third time. His My Life in Advertising book, which is it's a great classic from, I think it's 1923 or something like that. So it's an old one, almost 100 years old. But, principles are still there. This is the thing, I think, with a lot of marketing and a lot of business is that, everyone's all about the new shiny tool and the new product launch and all that sort of stuff. And, look, tactics change in terms of the actual tools you use to communicate or get your message out. But underlying that, strategy of your business model and the psychology of your consumer don't change. Those two things haven't changed in 100 years. So some of these classic books about how to sort of, get people's attention and what works to get them to actually act and respond and all that sort of stuff, those core principles haven't changed. So I think it's really good every now and again to go back to some of these classics and get, grounded in the roots of good quality marketing, business principles, direct response advertising, and then kind of have those fresh eyes again to apply it to the newer technologies and your current marketplace.
Yeah, it's almost funny sometimes that you can go back and read those. I totally agree with that, and I do it too. I even reread modern classics as well, just to bring the new learning that I've maybe had in the last year, and then see if the book gives me anything more. But the old books, it's amazing. You can almost seem like a visionary if you go back and read this 100-year-old book and then come up to somebody who's relatively new into the world of business and marketing and whatever, and go, I think we should try this. Wow, that's revolutionary. Actually, no, it's pretty old stuff. There is nothing new under the sun, as you say. People are people. Human beings took a long time to evolve and get where we are. We're not going to change that fast. So yeah, as you said, the reaction of the client and the way to approach and the strategies are all the same. It's the tactics, it's the individual platform application or whatever, which is why we are always talking about frameworks. You don't catch us going, hey, today I'm going to teach you how to press this button on doohickey whatnot platform, because that's always the thing that's going to change. But the frameworks, the strategies, they're the things that are timeless. And yeah, I think that's great to highlight that book, and it is an absolute classic. I remember the first time I read it, it really opened my eyes.
Yeah, it's a marvelous book. Actually, I've found myself to become addicted to these classic books. I found myself on eBay yesterday spending almost $200 on a book that I could have got for free on PDF, but it was an original first edition. So I'm going to read that soon, but it's a very bad habit.
I can't support you on that one. That's just
I know. It is a bit ludicrous, but I've always had
that's just been a collector. But you do like that. I've seen you do that before.
Yeah.
And there was one actually that. Yeah,
that was quite a few $100. But what I was going to say is I actually had a consulting conversation or consulting session, strategy session with someone yesterday, and this whole idea about strategy versus tactics came up quite a bit. Is that she's got a very good business potentially, but what she found herself doing is changing her strategies when something didn't work. So she actually went and changed her whole business model and the way she was trying to penetrate a market. Because the one strategy she implemented wasn't working tactically. So instead of refining and testing and tweaking, for example, a sales letter for a product, she decided to drop the whole thing and start again from scratch in the same market. And that was a real aha moment for her, which I think she really clicked to say, oh, hang on, my business model and my strategy should never really change. I should get that solid first, but continually refine and tweak and test the tactics. And that was, I think, apparent to a lot of people as well that I've been speaking to recently, is that they jump from strategy to strategy and business model to business model. But what you should be doing in business to grow momentum is get your strategy right, or a strategy that you believe in, and then continually tweak the tactics around that. So the sales letter copy, the traffic source, that kind of stuff. But the core fundamental strategy and business model should never change. And that's the kind of stuff that I've really been enjoying helping people with over the last couple of weeks, is getting that really clear. So it was just a takeaway really from yesterday that relates to what we were just talking about there. Yeah, no,
that's a really, really good point, actually, because you're absolutely right. This modern age that we live in, where you can be a one person solopreneur, start your own business, run it all, bring in out taskers and outsourcers and all the rest of it, is an incredibly powerful situation to be in. It's really enabling. But at the same time, that ability to move quickly and pivot and do change and whatever sometimes can be negative. In exactly that instance, the particular point tactic there and then didn't work. It's not a reason to scrap the whole strategy.
Exactly.
It's a really good point. I think actually, I did quite a few shows ago now. I did a strategy versus tactics show. It was one of those I did on my own. And maybe, just maybe, it would be worth doing that again. But with you in the mix, to add in that extra expertise and knowledge that you bring from these strategy sessions. You've been done so many now. and plus all that extra business knowledge that you've got, I think that might be a really valuable thing.
Sounds good. We'll put it on the agenda for an upcoming show.
The ever-growing list.
So speaking of show topics, today we are all about another one of the 7 levers in this little series we've been doing to sort of dig deep into the different levers you should be pulling in your business as part of the strategy. And today it's all about transactions per client, increasing the amount of time someone buys from you. So where should we start with this one? I think from my perspective, Dom, I'd love to start by almost defining what this is and what it's not. I think that's sometimes a really good place to start, is almost, defining what something is not, to give it clarity and people's direction of how to actually go and work on this lever. Is that a fair starting point, do you think?
I actually disagree. I don't think it's sometimes a good idea. I think it's always a good idea.
Nice, very cool. So, look,
go for it.
So transactions per client, it's all about how many times you can get a customer to come back and purchase from you again, make another buying decision. Now, what this is not, though, which gets a little bit muddy and confusing for a lot of people, is it's not how many times people spend money with you. So it's not how many times people spend money with you, it's how many times they make a buying decision with you.
Okay, good. Need to clarify that one.
Absolutely, because what a lot of people do when we actually consult with them or work with them, or someone just goes through this in their own pattern, is that they think that, okay, I'll sign someone up to, let's say, for example, a subscription. I have a membership site. I am proactive, and I sell them, skincare every 90 days. And someone, signs up today. So I've made a buying decision today, and I've decided to transact with you and become your customer. And every 30 days or 60 days or 45 days, you ding my credit card and take money off me.
That's what we call continuity. Yeah?
Exactly right. And it's pretty popular, and it is a very good lifeblood of a business, because that way you are getting reoccurring revenue, and you can sort of, project revenues and profits and that sort of stuff. And in our telco business, we try and help people with reduced phone bill rates to help them obviously save some money. But at the end of the day, we get a trailing commission on that. Every time someone pays their phone bill, we get a nice little commission check from the underlying carrier, which is fantastic for our business. It's a big part of our business model. But from that perspective, we've only sold the person once. We've sold the person on getting their phone bills with us once. You've sold the person to become a member of your membership site once. And yes, they're going to be buying again and again and again. But realistically, that is only one transaction with the client. You've only convinced them to buy from you once. And yes, essentially, in the framework of the 7 levers, the way I suggest people look at it is that all you're doing is basically giving people a payment plan. So you made one sale up front, but you are convincing them to, or you're allowing them to make that payment over a 12-month, 24-month period, whatever it might be. And that, when you look at it like that, it really gives you clarity. Oh, hang on, I've only ever really sold this person once. And the whole idea of the 7 levers is to get them to come back and purchase from you again and again and again with other offerings.
So you could really look at that. I mean, let's try and put this in a neat box for people to just pick something up and run with. So you could look at that, even though that continuity thing is going on, and they are like, you're taking money off their credit card, or they are giving you money, paying you whatever, but it's like it's a contract, or the word is continuity. It keeps happening. So really, as you say, it's down to the buying decision. As they've made one buying decision, you could really roll up all that money into one block. So let's say you've got a, 12-month thing. You could say each year, because it is really transactions per period, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's say we're measuring it across a year. That's one transaction with that client, which is worth one amount of all those values added together. And you could count. So it's still only one real transaction. You say one buying decision. Can you contrast that to say something that is more, because there might be a bit of confusion with repetitive things, like a service that somebody might do more than once periodically, that isn't subscription based, or isn't repetitive, or isn't based on continuity. So an example that pops into my head is something like, say, an annual thing would be a car service, which is a bit that's right on the line, I would say, because it's quite a difficult one. But one that's more regular, like like gardening, lawn care,
hairdressing,
or hairdressing, another good one.
Yep.
These things, they're what I would call elective.
Yep.
We all know that we really should get the lawn mowed every however many weeks. I haven't got one, so I wouldn't know. And we all, we probably should get our hair tidied up on a semi-regular basis, depending if we're out in public or not. But it is still elective, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing is, with a hairdresser, like the smart hairdressers, and we've kind of experienced this, and it's really interesting. Some industries, it's kind of par for the course. Others, it's not. But generally, if you go to a reasonably good hairdresser, and I'm not sort of talking like a general barber shop, you actually go to a hairdresser where they, charge you exorbitant fees to wash and cut your hair. We're having jokes the other week at office. We had a team lunch, and our graphic designer pays over $100 for a haircut. It's quite funny. He's one of those.
I'm glad I put my tea down before you said
it's
that.
Hysterical. Anyway, it's a whole other conversation about how you can charge premium prices for basic services. And we should probably have a conversation around that one day to add again to the list of shows. But what happens is before he leaves, they say, okay, look, well, you should come back in 7 weeks' time and spend another $100 with us for 15 minutes while we wash your hair and cut it. And they make that booking there and then. So that is an example of, getting that person to come back and transact with them again. But it's not on a contract. They're not, haven't gone on a continuity payment where every 6 weeks his credit card's dinged whether he comes in and gets his hair cut or not. It is a second sale. It is another sale.
It is elective.
It is elective.
Which is the point that I was trying to make. Now, you've jumped ahead to talk about a way that somebody could get that second sale. But I just want to make these ideas concrete, these different things that constitute that additional sale. So some kind of continuity where there's a regular billing happening regardless, really that doesn't count. That's just, you should just in your mind think that's one sale, one buying decision, right? But if we have these elective services, or elective repetition, like haircuts is a really easy one to think of, any other regular service, any other thing that people can decide if either A, they can forget to do, or B, they can elect not to do for whatever reason. Yeah, they're not forced to do it. They haven't bought into any kind of a repetitive contract. Then each one of those is another buying decision. So that's one really obvious way of selling one thing repetitively, so more than one time to the same person. But there's another level of additional sale or additional transaction, isn't there? It's not just because somebody might say, like, for example, the car service once a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're only ever going to sell them one car service.
Yep.
In a period. So then it's what else?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the thing is, like, for a lot of businesses, your product is not consumable, and a haircut technically is a consumable product in that it's used and it's gone again. Your hair grows, you need to do it again. Going to the milk bar is a consumable product. You do go through it, and you need to repeat it. Whether you can force it into that or not. Whereas the other side of the coin is like, well, what happens if your business isn't that sort of general high volume, repetitive in nature? How do you get the person to spend more money with you? An accountant is another example where, generally you only see the client once a year because you do their tax and that's it. So what else can you do to generate revenue from that particular customer and client in that 12-month period to increase these transactions per client? And again, to give some examples to sort of start thinking this through is like, obviously you can do audit insurance, or just, offer insurance. You can do audit protection where, you come in and, before the end of the tax year and you do some tax planning, and then after the tax year, you do the actual tax lodgement. My accountant does that with me. We sit down, just sat down recently and it did the planning for the end of the financial year coming up this month to make sure that, I've spent money in the right way and I've put it in certain places and we can move stuff around before the end of the financial year cutoff to ensure we strategically minimise the tax obligations. And then obviously come next year when the tax is actually due, he'll go through and actually, give me the bill. So they're kind of the type of examples, very high level, that where it is, you can start manufacturing other ways to generate transactions from the client.
Yeah. So let's put that one aside for a second, because as we normally do in these cases, we lay the groundwork, we put the core stuff across, and then we look at specific examples in different industries. People like the way that works. So we've got our foundation idea, which is that there are different ways of looking at these transactions, and you have to be clear what constitutes an additional transaction per period. And there's more of the same if it isn't already repetitive, or there's additional things that, whereas normally you would just have done the one thing and let it go. So let's start again with the fundamental, which is, okay, so I've sold something to somebody and they've left. They've got it, took it, bought it, I've delivered it, whatever it was, and there you go. What do I do? What's my first step? What's the most fundamental thing to getting another transaction from that client?
Well, I think the very first step is to make sure you actually grab their contact details at the time of that first transaction. Because if you don't know who they are after they leave your store or your website or your whatever it might be, how are you going to be able to get them back? So that's the very first thing. You need to offer some sort of bribe or enforce them to give you contact details so you can follow them up. And this, I think, is something that a lot of people don't do. And, with online businesses, it's kind of this mandatory thing that's not thought about. Is it like, you got to have a squeeze page and build an email list and all that sort of stuff online. But, in the real world, you don't do it, or a lot of people don't do it, or enough people don't do it. But even online, people don't really think about it properly, and they think the transaction's done, I'll move on. So the first thing to really make sure you're getting is adequate contact details. And quite often you might need to bribe the person. I'll give you a slight discount if you give me your contact details. I'll give you this bonus if you give me your contact details. If you want a warranty or insurance or the money back guarantee, you have to give me your contact details. Those kind of things are really important to build up that database so you can, market to them after the original sale to increase these transaction numbers.
Yeah, and there's lots of slightly more esoteric and sneaky ways of doing that, but the fundamental thing there is that if you want somebody to buy something from you again, you are pretty much going to have to, in some way or other, contact them so that you can, in some way or other, suggest to them that they buy something else. And the most basic way of that, as you say, and so few businesses do this, the most fundamental way is that you need to gather contact details. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think for most businesses, email marketing or SMS marketing is the way to do it. Direct response or direct mail, is amazing these days because people are getting fewer and fewer pieces of postage. That when you do send something, it actually stands out and get to read because it's unique. It's the fax machine again. Remember back in the 90s when a fax came through, everyone sort of ran to that device in the corner of the office to go, what's this? And everyone read it because it was unique. Direct mail is that way again because no one gets it except for bills. So it is that sort of, oh, wow, look at this, I'm going to read it type of thing. So, direct mail is really, really powerful these days as well and worth considering because the inbox, although it's free to reach, it's very, very noisy in there.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have to say, just a slight aside, by the way, I am in slight inbox hell at the moment. With this new role, it's like, I've never had so many emails. Go away, leave me alone. But you're absolutely right. It's the reality of it is that email is technically free. So people are just getting hammered in with this stuff, whether it's spam or genuine information that they subscribe to once and then just don't read anymore. Things get lost, things get missed. So you can stand out. Don't underestimate these things, whether it's physical post or the SMS marketing. Which, we've seen a lot of success with that in different business areas.
And something that I don't think I've even told you about, Dom, that we've been working on is a way to offer people weekly 7-level focus tips via SMS very shortly. So we're going to have an opportunity for Preneur community members to be able to join a little bit of a list. And, once a week, we'll send a quick SMS reminder to say, hey, are you focusing on this lever this week? Here's a quick tip. Just something to keep you focused and doing the right thing and not distracted. So I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of that. Just a short, quick SMS reminder just to keep you on track on a weekly basis, which is kind of cool and exciting.
Cool.
So we'll.
Very cool.
I reckon it's probably gonna be about a week away, which is pretty sweet. So hopefully, in the next couple episodes, we'll be able to tell you where you can go and sign up and get weekly SMS reminders and keep you focused and on track and not distracted when you are working on your business using the 7 Levers framework. So that's an exciting surprise that kind of popped out of nowhere.
It did. And speaking of back on track. So really, I mean, it's as simple as that with what you can do to attract an additional transaction from your clients is in some way contact them. Now, the example you gave, we'll kind of jump ahead and jump back, but the example you gave of the hairdresser, I think, is pretty much one of the easiest ways to bypass all of the technology problems and the complexities and what do you do and how do you do it and all the rest of it. Because if when you have finished delivering the first thing, you at that point suggest they buy something else, you literally bypass the problem of collecting their data and everything else.
Very
now,
true.
I've seen this done in a number of ways. Hairdressers is one way where you're in the salon, you've just finished, you're all and you're happy with what they've done. And at that point, they say, "Hey, would you like to book in again?" At which point, pretty much, you're going to say yes. If you can commit to a date and time, you'll go ahead and do that. And a lot of services like that are now doing that. The people that come and do people's feet and things like that. The nail salons, things like that. They're all a pretty similar thing. But a variant on that is somebody like Amazon who ship physical goods. Yeah. And when they ship things, they very often slip things in the box.
Yep. Absolutely.
They're an online-based company that does a heck of a lot of stuff on their website. That's a completely separate topic. But they ship you something, and in the box, every now and then, there's a little leaflet. And it might be a sometimes even print on the outside of the box. And it might be a promotion for an upcoming movie that you can pre-order on DVD and Blu-ray. It might be garden furniture promotion because of a seasonal promotion, whatever. But again, it's a little bit different because they have got your contact details. But instead of bothering you out of context, it's in the box. So you open the box, you go, "Ooh, I'm excited! I have my new shiny thing. Oh, and look, there's a leaflet."
Absolutely.
And I shall read it because it's there.
They had the catalog, they had the offer there as you were actually, at peak enthusiasm and excitement for this new toy, you suddenly see other offers for other cool toys. And when I say toy, I mean anything. Like a laptop's a new toy to me. Clearly, as we spoke about before, a book printed in 1926 is a new toy for me. So, like those kind of things, it's like when they're at their peak of excitement, it's like make the other offer. And you can slip that in as part of the delivery. It's very, very easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you were really, especially, I don't know. It means like if you bought a second-hand book from a second-hand bookstore, if it was a specialist store, and that the person was, if it was manually, picked and packed by the person who owned the store, if it was lovingly done, right, which quite likely for the price you paid for it, I imagine it was. If they had on their shelves X other related tomes, and they'd have slipped a note in that package to say, "By the way, we noticed you ordered this. Did you know we also have first editions of X, Y, and Z?" I bet, I pretty much guarantee you'd have been back on there and ordered the rest of them.
I'm sitting here just like shaking my head going, you're absolutely right. There's no question at all that, I would absolutely, if they slip the note when this Rossa Reeves book comes out and arrives here saying, "Hey, we also have first editions of this, this, and this that are also business and marketing books from the same sort of era," there is no doubt in my mind I will buy them. No doubt in my mind.
Yep.
And the thing is that, yes, I'm going to probably be a little bit more, I'll say, eccentric than a lot of their customers. But again, this is the beautiful thing, is something we didn't talk about at the start. All we're trying to do with every single lever is increase it by 10%. So that's just 1 in 10 people buying again. 10%.
Yeah, 1 in 10 people buying one more thing. Yeah?
And I think just quickly, just for those who are either new to the show, welcome to the show, or those who haven't, been hit over the head enough with this message, is that the whole idea of the 7 levers framework, and transactions per client is one of the levers. there are 7 key areas of every business that are the 7 areas that drive the profit of your business. And if you simply increase each one of those levers by a measly 10%, just 10%, not tripling, not doubling, not getting 10 times as much, just 10% on what you're doing right now across those 7 areas, the profit of your business will double. So why are you doing anything else that's distracting you except for working on one of these levers every week to try and get that 10% increase? Because a 10% increase is easy. If every
and what's really important, that 10% increase is easy, and back to your strategy and tactics thing, a 10% increase can be got with a tweak to an existing thing rather than implementing new stuff.
Exactly. A little, if like this bookstore, for example, if we're going to sort of use this analogy again or this example again, just had a DL piece of paper with their logo on it and their website address and their handwritten saying, "Hi Pete, thanks for your order. Did you know we also have 1926 Book A, 1928 Book B, 1934 Book C available?" That's all it would need to be for me to actually go, "Oh wow, I'm going to check out their website again." Like that would be enough. And it takes 20 seconds as they pack the book. And then this is the thing is like, because they know their clients so well, if someone's buying a book that's a bit more antique and a bit more collector's item, they're probably going to be a bit more inclined to buy again and again and again. It's not going to buy a pair of running shoes or buying, a new pillowcase for the bed. It's a bit of a unique product. And that is such a powerful thing and such an easy thing to do. And they would probably get a much greater increase than 10%. There's no way that would just only get 1 in 10 people to buy again. They would at least get 2 or 3 people out of that 10, 20 or 30% of people buying again if they did that simple strategy. Yep. And even if they do an email, this is the thing. I mean,
it's a. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say I was going to start doing the usual Pete Williams thing and just bombarding with ideas of how to sort of apply this to other industries. But before I do that, do you have a more thoughtful and poised perspective you should chime in here before I go off on a tangent again?
Well, I think the word bombarding is a little bit harsh. Let's say rapid fire. No, it's just. I think I appreciate and if anyone is a new listener, by the way, welcome. There will be a link in the show notes to the original 7 Levers show, which goes over this stuff, and also, which we'll mention again at the end of the show, we actually did a little bit of a write-up of this method in the 7 Levers report, which you can get from 7leversreport.com.
Number 7, leversreport.com.
And we'll remind about that at the end of the show as well. But what I was going to say was, we've gone through. Let's just kind of regroup for a second before we leap ahead with the rapid fire section. We've gone through, and we've got these different things. We've got this the thing you do that you can sell again. So nail care, hairdressing, lawn care, that kind of stuff. And then we've got the you do something. And in that, by the way, also there's books. I sell books. I've sold a book. I need to sell another book. And we've already talked about the ways that you can do that. And then you've got this other concept where really what you do is a kind of a once a period thing, like tax or like an accountant, or it might be a car service or something like that. So if you're in that situation, that third situation, where you're kind of a one-shot thing, or you think you are, before we go to these individual ways of reaching people and things and ideas we can do, Pete, have you got any ideas of things people can additionally sell, another transaction that people can get if they think that they've really only got one thing?
Yeah, I think there's probably a couple of different avenues people should start to think about when it comes to this. And one way is, can you offer a done-for-you service? And this is done quite a bit online. So if you sort of have a lot of online membership sites or people who sell products or software and things like that, the perfect upsell or second offering is a done-for-you service. It's okay, so you bought the education, you bought the course, you bought the piece of software, and then the follow-up transaction can be, hey, how about we actually do it for you? Rather than you having to do it, maybe you bought the course 6 weeks ago and haven't done anything, or you bought the software and you haven't installed it yet. Well, how about we do it for you? We have a team of technicians of whatever form that takes, and we will do it for you. So offering a done for you service is a great way to offer an additional transaction for your client base. Because again, you think 1 in 10 people would want to do that. They'd be like, do you know what? I don't want to do the tech of this actually. I'll happily handball it to somebody else. And not only will that increase your transactions per client, but with the done for you service, you can increase your actual price of the offering as well. So you actually kind of almost hit 2 birds with 1 stone.
Okay. That one, I think some people might think that one is a little bit of a crossover with some other of the levers we've already talked about. Have we got something a little bit more distinct?
Well, I was going to suggest another option for a lot of people is a joint venture or an affiliate promotion. So can
you explain that?
Absolutely. So obviously, you might have your core offering. You might have a product that you sell. Maybe it's a magazine. You have a magazine where you talk about guitar tips. And you have a digital magazine, a magcast. Maybe this is an example, and you do that. And you obviously have people who buy your magazine. And you've sold them on a subscription to your digital magazine. So every month, their credit card gets dinged through Apple, and you deliver them a new digital magazine through the Apple newsstand. And that's fantastic. Well, how else can you get these people to buy from you again and again and again? Well, obviously online, there's plenty of people out there who have courses on guitars, how to play blues, how to play 6-string, how to play this, how to, maintain your guitar, how to, tune your guitar. I'm not a musician, but I'm thinking those are things that actually are important. So you could go out and look at products that other people have available and offer them to your subscribers and to your database. And what happens is when you promote that product, you obviously get an affiliate commission. You get a commission from that seller saying, thanks for sending me the traffic and sending me this buyer. I'm going to reward you with a commission. And that is the type of thing you can start to do to increase your transactions per period, to sell other people's products, because you are getting revenue from that. It, in my opinion, absolutely applies here. And it gives you that additional revenue you need to justify this, increase of transactions per client. So that is a great way, if you don't have a core offering yet, to actually increase these transactions from your client base, is by offering and referring them to other products and services.
And that is a really easy thing as well. What I like about that is, so a lot of people do this. We talk to people and they say, oh no, I'm going to have to go and create an entirely new product. Or by all means go. And, in the case of the guitar magazine, we just happen to know someone who has a guitar magazine that is an excellent magcast with very high quality production. And he also produces training courses. But that's a thing that he was already doing. Yeah. And so he's got this other thing, this other product. But if he didn't, then your suggestion of going finding someone who's already done that work and just presenting it to your audience is excellent, because there's literally no work involved. It's just, hey everyone, you're interested in this subject because you're buying my magazine. Look, here's a guy who's got something related. And as you say, this is the concept of the affiliate sale or joint venture is that by you making the introduction to your audience of that person and their product, they will give you some finder's fee, some sales commission, whatever terminology you want to use for doing it. It's an extra sale, it's an extra transaction, it's money to you without any of the effort of trying to create another product. But if you were willing to go to that extent of finding another or creating a product, depending on the service and whatever, the idea there, I kind of said it, is something complementary. Now, we've talked about this again in the other levers about having complementary things that are related, associated, or whatever. And it really can be completely esoteric. It really doesn't matter what it is. You could be completely, I don't know. For example, let's just pull one completely out of the air. Something that I think you can appreciate. I'm going paperless. Something that you did a while ago. Our accountant has recommended that what we do is scan all our receipts, and we get those receipts to him electronically, and that's it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, okay. What an additional sale for him, because he just does our accounts and that's it. We have a monthly retainer, and we have the bill. Let's say the bill to do a particular service once a year, whatever it might be. That's it. He's done. That's all he can do. Well, what if he supplied the scanner?
Absolutely. A beautiful Doxy scanner. Bought them wholesale, resold them. If you're an accountant in certain countries, Xero, which we've had them on the show before when we spoke about their branding scenario. They're doing really great things, and we spoke about that on the show. Is that they were really supporting their accounting partners to drive the sales of Xero. But what that does is actually
absolutely. I mean, that's a really good example because their accountant. Those accountants were recommending the product.
Yep.
And they were getting, as far as I understand it, a commission.
Absolutely.
From the licensing of that product. That's an awesome model. And maybe that model is an opportunity in your industry, in your business. So that's a really good one.
Yeah,
so I'd forgotten about that. I'm going to link to that in the show notes.
Well, something you said there, which I think is really important too, is that, in an earlier lever, and also we covered this obviously in a recent show, one of the earlier levers is all about items per transaction. So it's all about increasing the amount of items they buy at the time of that original transaction. So things like upsells, cross-sells, add-ons, all that sort of stuff, which we spoke about recently. The perfect offering to start with when you are working on your transactions per client is what stuff did you offer is as the upsell add-on scenario in that lever that weren't taken up, and just move that to a post-sale marketing campaign. So, for example, someone comes to your website and they buy your ebook. On the thank you page, you offer them a advanced course or a done for you service or a strategy session or some sort of additional offering on the back end of that order page as an upsell, cross-sell, add-on, whatever you want to define it as. Now, obviously, there's going to be a percentage of people who take that offer up there and then, which is what you're trying to do, and getting that 10% increase in that particular lever. What about the other nine people or 90% of people who didn't take that direct upsell at that point in time? Why don't you take that and turn that offering into a 3-stage autoresponder email promotion that then pushes them back into that same offering? So you're just moving the offering from a upsell to a later transaction to get that other person. So you don't have to necessarily go and create 4 new things to offer as an upsell and 4 new things to offer as a separate transaction. You can just move the items around in your sales promotion, in your sales funnel. So you are working both levers at the same time with the same offering.
I'm leaving. I'm not going to edit this out. That stutter there was in awe of the genius of that. That really, I listened in awe and just thought, again, because I've said this again, I've done about 3 shows in a row now, that is genius. That is absolutely brilliant. And I can just think of so many examples where that's the case, where you, at the point of sale, you might have suggested to somebody, hey, how about this? And they go, do you know what? No, for whatever reason. And the reasons could be myriad, It could be that they don't feel they need it right now. Mm-hmm. If it's a physical object, I was like, a silly example, but a second power supply for a laptop.
Perfect example.
Perfect, because when I bought my laptop, not a chance. They're quite expensive. They're like the laptop power supplies. I've got one, thank you. What on earth do I want another one for? But now I'm traveling backwards and forwards to the UK. Do you know what? If somebody did me an offer or suggested a second power supply in the UK, I'd be all over it like a rash.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because I've realised after the fact of purchase that it's a good idea.
That's the biggest thing is that, it's a perfect, and I bought a second power supply for my laptop recently for that exact same reason. And, it's the perfect thing is that, the offering you make at the initial transaction, that second or additional offering, obviously you should be having the right intent that you're actually going to help the person and it's going to better their experience. Now, obviously some people, as you said, they don't think it's going to be needed. They think, oh, look, this is not needed right now. Once they experience the transaction and experience the actual product or service, they might realize that, oh, hang on, I actually do need that. So making that offer, at a certain strategic point, 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 months after that initial purchase, when they're starting to feel that friction that would be eliminated by that additional offering, make that offering and tell them why. Software, I see this so often, that really does blow my head in, or my mind in, or whatever the term should be, is that,
it's clearly having an effect on you.
Well, if you sell software, I'm amazed that so many people don't offer a implementation or done for you service on the back end, whether it's on the thank you page or whether it's on a 3-day or 3-week delay. Is that how many times have you bought software? maybe not you, Dom, probably because you're,
Yeah, I was going to say, be careful with this as an example with me,
To the listener, how many times have you bought software that you want to use? It's maybe a WordPress plugin or some sort of software that's going to help grow your business. But, 2 days later, 2 weeks later, you haven't installed it yet because you get to the tech and it gets a little bit hard or whatever it might be. It happens so often. And imagine someone said, hey, you spent $100 on this plugin last week. For $100 today, we'll get one of our internal experts who know the software inside out and can get it done very, very quickly, install it on your site and get up and running so you actually get the result you want. I would think that would happen and be taken up by at least 10% of customers.
Oh, more. From my experience, I can just list so many different types of software. I mean, just name it. It just doesn't matter anything that requires implementation. Be physical stuff. It's like, even flat pack furniture.
Yep. IKEA do this now.
Yeah, they do. Well, people have offered it as an independent service for many years. But yeah, and it is that thing of at the point of transaction, you suggest it to somebody in a very helpful manner. We're very clear about this. Scumbags need not apply. Only helpful things, complimentary, constructive, helpful things. You suggest it from your experience and knowledge, and they say, for whatever their reason is, no, thank you. There's no reason not to go back to them and repeat the helpful intention. Second power supply. Even car dealerships, right? A car dealership will offer you every option under the sun.
Yep, window tinting,
when you go to buy a car,
wax coloring,
and some of them have to be factory fitted. But some of them can be done by the dealership. Something as simple, maybe as an entertainment system upgrade. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they offer you the entertainment system upgrade at the point of sale, and you say no, thank you. You drive around for a bit, and you go, not that impressed by what I chose in the end. 3 months later, they send you a note saying, hey, we're doing a deal. We can actually retrofit that upgraded stereo that you didn't choose. Do you want it?
Yeah. Well, the irony of that is Fleur bought a new car last year. We bought Fleur a new car last year or the year before. Recently, I can't remember when it was actually. And at the time, she said, she did need a reversing camera. She was like, no, look, that extra I didn't think. And it was actually only recently we spoke about going, I wish we actually did that at the time. And we were probably going to go and find some sort of after service place to put one in. But if the dealer called us up and just sort of checked in on the car and said blah, 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 or made an offering in the mail or via email or some form of offering, we would probably go, next time we get the car service there, install it, fit it in. Yeah. Because we still get
while it's in the dealership that it's got to go back to anyway.
Because we've got a servicing deal with it. Exactly right. It's a no-brainer. And it's just one of those things that some people don't make those offerings at the time. It's quite funny and quite sad. But, I think that is a very simple way to start, is just taking those offerings you make and retweaking them. And, because you said, people might not think they need it at the time, but it also could be a financial constraint thing at the time when you make the offering on the thank you page or after the transaction at point of sale in your retail store or wherever it is. So repositioning it, repackaging it, repricing it, changing the payment plan, those things after the fact are a very easy way.
It could even be a trust thing.
Absolutely.
It could be a trust thing. You're offering an ebook and an upgrade to whatever. And they go, you know what? I haven't read your book yet.
Absolutely.
I don't really know if you know what you're talking about, so no, thank you. They read the book and go, wow, this guy's awesome. And so you go back to them and you go, okay, well, you had the book, you've had it for a while, if you thought it was good, try this. There's all these reasons why people might not take it. That's why I just, I think that was so brilliant to bring up, and I think so worth talking about and coming up with examples of those ideas, because again, it's that thing, it's no more work. If you'd already got that thing, you were already offering it, just like offering an affiliate product, to partnering with somebody to bring something in, it's no more work. It's just making the offer. And again, with this idea of yours, genius, you've already got it. Whatever it was you were offering them in the first place, offer it them again with the same intent, but this time they've got potentially more inclination to buy because they realize the need, whatever it might be. So think about those things. It's just great. Should we? I mean, that's kind of our normal time there. So the big takeaway for me from this, folks, we like to kind of wrap up and summarize things, but the big takeaway for me was, the main way you're going to get people to buy again from you is to contact them and suggest something. Yep. In order to do that, got to have you either do it one of two ways. You either do it at the point of the first transaction where you book the second thing in, like if it's a service like nail care or hair cutting or lawn care or car servicing or whatever it is, and you've got them there and then, fine. Otherwise, you need their contact details so that you can reach out to them again and make that offer. And after that, I think we've got some great ideas that are applicable across any possible industry. I think we covered absolutely everything today. Pete?
Very cool. I think so too. I think, in terms of, the making of the offer and how to actually go out and reach them and frame the offer and all that sort of stuff is important. But obviously I think that's probably for another show or for a strategistic conversation or for the home study program. And we'll leave that out of today's episode. But that's the kind of the continuation of what you need to work on when you are increasing these transactions per client in a particular period. But I think, a good place to start, as you mentioned earlier, is I really encourage people to go over to 7leversreport.com and download the report. It's about 40 pages long, and it really digs deep into each of the levers of how you can grow your business exponentially through this framework. And it's such a powerful framework because it's mathematics. It's very simple too. It's not making you jump from strategy to tactic and tactic to tactic and strategy to strategy and getting you all confused. It's a very simple formula to follow. It's a framework that is proven, it's mathematically backed, that will absolutely double the profit of your business if you increase each lever by just a measly 10%. Think about it right now. All you need to do is increase your traffic by 10%. All you need to do is get 1 in 10 people to buy from you again. All you need is to get 1 in 10 people to take up that offering that you offered at the time of transaction. You only need to increase your margins by 10%. Very, very simple things that over a 7 period cycle, whether you do it weekly or monthly, it doesn't really matter. But after a cycle through, your profit will be doubled. It's amazing. And it's such a powerful thing that I really encourage everyone to go and check that out at 7leversreport.com. Whether you're on your mobile phone right now, on a tablet or your desktop, just take the 30 seconds and download that report. It's really, really powerful.
Absolutely. And again, as always, folks, links will be in the show notes. Show notes for all our shows. And when I say show notes, I mean all the links, the descriptions of what's in each show, and a full transcript are all available over at PreneurMarketing.com. Do pop over there. You can find literally all of our previous episodes. We're up to 130 some now, so it's a bit of a back catalogue if you just joined us.
I realised last night that we started this show in June 2011. It's our 3rd-year anniversary.
I was going to bring that up.
Oh, you were?
I was going to bring that
there you go.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Not necessarily on this show, but I was.
Incredible.
It is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Everyone's podcasting these days, but we've been here for 3 long years.
Yep, we have been here on a very, very consistent and regular basis for 3 long. They've not been long years. They've been fantastically entertaining, and they've flown by, sir. Flown by.
Very,
anyway,
very true.
Back on track. So all those episodes from the past 3 years are available on PreneurMarketing.com. You can also leave us a comment under any of the shows. You can download the show to listen on whatever device you want to listen to it on. Keep it for yourself on your own local machine. Listen to it offline. Listen to it live there on the page. You can do anything, but we do always encourage people, new and old listeners, to give us feedback on any show you listen to in any order at any point. You've got a question, you got an idea, you've got an example of how you've implemented something, one of our ideas, one of our frameworks, then drop us a note on the comments on the page for each show. There's that little audio button to the right of the screen as well. You can actually record a little audio message. If you do that, by the way, you might appear on the show. So feel free to plug your business like nobody's business. If you do, drop us a note there. Also, as Pete said, we've got a lot of people now listening to us on mobile devices, and you should be able to comment on there. But also, we do ask whether, again, new or old listeners, do share the show, do comment on the show on the kind of wider platforms like iTunes and SoundCloud, and let other people know what you think. because we are here to help people. The more people that listen to the show, the more people we can help. That's why we're here. We're not making any money out of this. We're not doing it for that kind of reason. We're doing it to help and share our knowledge. So please do leave a comment and share the show.
Absolutely. So again, thank you guys for listening for 3 fantastic years. We're still going to be here for another 3 years, hopefully. And we will catch you in a future episode.
See you soon, folks.
You've been enjoying another fine episode of PreneurCast with Pete Williams and Dom Gocher. Make sure to hang out with the boys online at www.preneurmarketing.com or drop them a line via PreneurCast at preneurgroup.com.